Hey, my name's Nathan. Welcome to the Scarpa booth. I thought I might show you one of our new Vapor models. This is a new Vapor Lace. So we really concentrated on sharp line shoes and stiff shoes. We wanted to really make sure that we weren't neglecting this type of climbing shoe, because we still think that these stiffer shoes have a really good place in climbing, and there's limitations to the soft shoes. So for the Vapor, we really wanted to make a good alternative or supplementary shoe to someone that had a Vapor V, one of our most popular shoes. So the Vapor Lace has a few things that are a little bit different. One of the ones that you'll probably see is this toe cap on the top here. This is a pretty interesting piece of technology here. It's actually like dual density. So normally when we match a softer rubber with a harder rubber, we normally have a seam or an overlap here where the toe cap joins into the toe rand. And you can see here there's no seam and it joins straight together. So that's what we call D2 technology, so dual density rubber. And this rubber at the top here is very, very soft, very elasticated rubber. Wraps over the knuckles really well, really good for comfort, really high friction, but doesn't contain the toes as well for like more precise climbing. Whereas you can see the black rubber is stiffer rubber. It wraps around the bottom of the foot and contains the toes to get really precise edging. And normally we combine these two rubbers with an overlapping seam, but the D2, when the rubber's in a liquid form, comes together on the sheet, and then you can have one sheet of continuous rubber that changes density on either side. So it's just really getting a slightly better fit because the finish is flat on the other side there, and getting the best out of both those rubbers because they both have a good content for them on either side. So that's the toe patch you can see on the upper here. And then the last we should probably talk about a little bit. It's exactly the same in the front 3/4 of the shoe as the Vapor V, but it's a little bit more shallower in the heel in the back, and that's because this has one of the new FAF heel systems on the back here. So you can see it's a lot wider than normal, and that's these two elastic bands connecting on the side here, but not going the full length at the back behind the heel. So that gives a bit bigger pressure zone at the back here and allows the toe to be a little bit more precise because we push the back of the foot with a bigger surface, and it means that the front of the shoe has a bigger surface with a major pressure point. So that allows it not only to be more comfortable at the back of the shoe, but a little bit more precise in the front of the shoe. So that's definitely a point of difference from the Vapor V. The other thing is the upper. So the upper still reflects the same as the classic Vapor shoes, so seamless offset toe box here. This is one of the really rare shoes that's fairly flat, fairly straight, but it still has a fully panelled upper. So we kept that with the Vapor, but we made it fully synthetic. So these panels normally are leather, and on the Vapor Lace it's microfiber. So the shoe is vegan friendly. It also has these TPU straps that you see on the side here in replacement for the stitching. So normally we have supportive stitching that you would see through here to stop stretch, and these TPU straps are welded on the upper, and that means that you have a smooth surface on the inside here against the skin, but you still retain some kind of stretch control on the upper. So the upper's moderately different, but more or less the same, except no leather components, all synthetic. The other thing that's probably really interesting is the midsole. So we really wanted to make this shoe much stiffer than the Vapor V, and we wanted it to be more precise and I guess giving more supports for continuous small hold use. So we used the same plastic because we didn't want to make the plastic thicker. You lose a lot of sensitivity then. But we use the same plastic thickness and it wraps up in the heel the same way, but it curves up and over the side of the shoe. And that gives this plastic just a little bit more support by curving it and makes it stiffer in the shoe. And it's a trick that we used on the Boost Stick to make it more precise but not increase the thickness. And we used the same trick on the new Vapor Lace. So it gives the shoe quite a bit of rigidity. And then we also wanted to make the most of the sole unit. So it's a full-length sole unit in XS Edge, but it also wraps up and in the arch area here just for a little bit more support as well. So a very supportive shoe. The stiffer plastic on the midsole allows you to continuously use smaller footholds without so much use on your large foot muscles. So you obviously lose a bit of sensitivity and you lose a bit of flex, but you certainly gain a lot more precision at the top of the root because you're not relying on the muscles of the foot to hold you. So that's generally in multi-pitching or really for foot fatigue in climbing, which could be anything where you're continually using small footholds. These shoes are definitely advantageous over something that's softer. So I think these are aiming for like 130, 140 euros, same price as the Vapor V, and they're scheduled to come on shelf in March 2020. Yeah, we know that we've developed in the last years really soft shoes, and we've definitely pushed that, and we know that there was a big hole for that, and modern climbing, indoor modern climbing especially, but also steep outdoor climbing, soft shoes are advantageous. But there's still lots of people out there that like really hard face climbing. Certainly like Heinz and me are one of those people. We really enjoy hard face climbing, and a stiff shoe outperforms a soft shoe all the time. So that's the FAF heel. You can see it's really thin, and that's one of the things that increases the fit. As soon as you have thick, clunky pieces of rubber, you're restricting the fit. And as soon as you have ultra thin, elasticated rubber, you're improving the fit. There's a bit of a compromise in either way. If you make it like Glad Wrap, it fits awesome, but it wears out straight away. So 1mm rubber we think is really good because we don't really need durability that much in the heel. So it wraps up over the side here. You can see where the holes are. That denotes the tension on either side. So these are high tension FAF heels with 3 holes, same as the Booster. The Veloce is 2 holes, so medium, and then the Origin and the Jungle is 1 hole. So that's really how hard they're pulling this elasticated rubber. This is not elasticated rubber. Vibram's what we call dead rubber, but it spreads the load really well. And you can see the width on the outside here, how much wider it is than normal. So that gets wrapped onto the upper on the other side there, and then the full length sole comes over the top of it. So it definitely does give a better fit, but maybe not so aggressive. So I wouldn't say that it's the best heel for all things. I think for aggressive heel hooking, probably the slingshot heel is better. But I think if you're looking at getting more out of your footwork at the toe and you want a more comfortable fit on the back, then the FAF heel system's better. So we just want variety all the way through. Different people like different things for all kinds of different reasons. So we really work hard on making sure we've got different volumes of heels, different pressures on the heels, different densities of rubber, different plastics. And that means that we've got a big variety of not only toes and shoes, but also heels. We really wanted it to be complementary to the Vapor. So we didn't want people to think, oh, it's a lace-up version of the Vapor V, because it's definitely not. It's for a different style of climbing, and each one of these has a different advantage over the other. So this one's definitely, I would say, softer. It's a more versatile climbing shoe, probably better suited for steeper routes, indoor climbing, whereas this is definitely better suited for continuous small foothold use. It's a more comfortable shoe for multi-pitch or longer wearing times, and it's definitely a lot stiffer. So you can see the first thing that's a really indicator is one's XS Grip 2 and one's XS Edge. So the rubber is stiffer. And then the midsole is full length instead of partial. You can see this sole actually wraps up and over the arch, whereas here that's an elasticated rubber, so less flexibility. And then obviously the midsole of this one is a lot stiffer than what it is on this one, mainly because of this curve that you can see on the outside that wraps up and around the foot. So that's basically where this is coming up on the outside of the shoe here, and you can almost see the outline of the curve coming up and over here, and it's wrapping up the outside of that foot. And that really does 2 things. It stiffens up the whole plastic just by putting a curve in it, but it also means that you're cradling the foot. And as the foot comes under a lot of pressure, it squashes out, and this plastic further contains the foot. So it's not so much about fatigue, but maintaining precision even under high pressure. So it's got advantages as in it's better under high pressure. The disadvantages is obviously it's got less flex. So we really wanted this to be a complementary shoe to people that already enjoy the Vapor V. The toe box is the same volume, the mid shoe is the same volume. The heel's a little bit more sculptured on this, so not quite as deep. And then obviously the pressure point is a little bit different. So really good for aggressive heel hooking, really good for continuous face climbing. I take exactly the same size in both. So you can see even here in these ones here, like you can see it looks actually slightly bigger, but that's more or less just from the full sole. It hasn't got the same curvature that this one has. So exactly the same size, and you can expect the fit to feel really different, especially for this bi-tension rubber. That's M50 at the top, so that's the same toe patch that's on the top of a Drago, whereas this rubber is a much more stiffer rubber on the top here. So It's a different fit, definitely, but volume is exactly the same and length is exactly the same.